This Lego creation of mine has been sitting in boxes for a few years. Today I'm going to begin the process of resurrecting it. But first, a bit of backstory. Lego has released many space themes over the years. This one, this one, this one, and this one. They're all great, but ever since I was young, this one really spoke to me. Ice Planet 2002. It depicts a snowy planet with a spectacular color scheme of white, blue, black accents, and the beautiful, elusive, translucent neon orange. Besides the striking color scheme, the Ice Planet 2002 was featured in my favorite game as a kid, Lego Racers. I used to spend hours in my favorite race driving through the snowy caves and ice fields. So naturally, when I decided to build a big space layout a few years back, Ice Planet 2002 was the theme I went with. Enough backstory, let's get building. The first step is to clear off this table so I can have space to build. After clearing some space, I opened up the totes and pulled out all the pieces of my old Ice Planet MOC. When I first built this, I had a slightly smaller space to display it in, but this time I'm going to expand it. After setting all the pieces out on the table, I took inventory of what I had. There's a section of the mountain here with a base that is built into it. There's also a monorail, there's a few spaceships, a bunch of minifigures, and some terrain with a few frozen lakes and rivers. My goal is to build upon this and make it even better. The most important thing I decided that I wanted to add was a giant tall tower, kind of a command center. I had this big section of clear Lego pieces that I had stuck together to make a wall, and I also had this mosaic of the Ice Planet logo that I had built, so I decided to combine those with some side panels at an angle to build the front facade of a tower. Now you can call this lazy building or affordable building, but I didn't want to use a whole bunch of bricks to build this tower very tall, so instead I took some base plates and I built pieces on the side, which saves a lot of time and a lot of pieces. Building on the edges of panels, it's really easy to add details. So you can see I stuck with the blue and white color scheme, but I also added a little bit of translucent neon orange. I also wanted to add a few landing pads here at the top, some greebling details, and of course a glass elevator to help the astronauts get throughout different sections of the tower. The whole structure was held together by a Technic frame. It's pretty small, pretty simple, but it does the job. It's not the strongest tower, but it hasn't fallen over yet. After building the tower, it only seemed natural to place it on top of the terrain I had built just to make it a little bit taller. After placing it on top, I started to get to work to figure out the arrangement of the rest of the build. I was really running out of time as the LEGO convention was coming up, and so I decided to pack it up and finish building it at the LEGO convention. The convention I displayed it at is called Brick Fair, Pennsylvania, and I was super excited because I haven't been to one in a couple of years. So I drove about an hour and a half. I got out of the car, went inside, and began setting up the MOC. Enjoy the time lapse. I did run into a few problems while setting it up, and it definitely took me longer than expected. Some of the tables were uneven. I also needed more white plates, so I used a lot of pieces to cover some different gray plates to make some landing platforms and to cover everything in snow to the best of my ability. I also got help from a neighbor, so Silas, he was there and he actually helped me build some of these white pieces. Thanks for the help. It eventually got done. It took a couple hours, but I got everything set up. The biggest question I had while building this was if the monorail was going to work. After setting up all of the different pillars and attaching the monorail track, I turned it on and lo and behold, it runs. One of the coolest parts about this theme is that the translucent neon orange pieces glow under black light. When the lights were turned out, this model really stood out, and I was happy to see the monorail was working well, gliding smoothly around the track. Now let's look more closely at some of my favorite details in this build. We'll start out with this giant icy pond. This came about because I went to the Lego store and I was able to get a whole bunch of these translucent headlight bricks, hundreds of them, actually over 1,000. I was watching a movie one night and I started sticking them together in this pattern, and I realized I could make a giant sheet of ice. So I spent the whole rest of that night building a giant icy pond, and I think it really looks great. Of course, the fun detail is the robotic penguins. I'm not sure what this guy is doing. Maybe he's training them to do some kind of tasks around the base, but of course I had to include those penguins. The tower stands out as well. I'm really happy with how it turned out, and in the future hopefully I'll add a back, maybe make it even taller and add more details to it. When I first built this base a few years ago, I really wanted to build some spaceships. So you can see here, these are actually recolored versions of Star Wars ships. So we have the X-Wing and we also have the ARC 170. I used the instructions from the Lego sets. I changed a few things and then I completely changed the colors to match the Ice Planet theme. My favorite part of the build is the working monorail. The Lego Monorail set is one I've always wanted for the longest time, and because I couldn't afford it, I decided to design my own. I used the instructions from the Futuron monorail to try to make mine look as similar to it as possible, but then I integrated power functions, motor, and battery box so that it could run using parts that were a lot cheaper. The section with the motor was definitely the most difficult to design. It probably took me about 20 tries to get it to actually balance on the track, to move forward, and not to fall off every 5 minutes. I was generally happy with how it performed during the show, although by the end some of the gears were a bit worn out and it was starting to slip, so it may take a bit of redesigning. But it's definitely satisfying to see it zip around the ice planet, to go behind the tower, and it really is a fulfillment of my dreams as a kid. And that's about it. Resurrecting this old Lego MOC was a whole lot of fun. Thanks for coming along on the journey, and I'm sure I'll be making more modifications to it in the future. If you want to see a full video of all the builds from Brick Fair, Pennsylvania, I will be releasing one in the next week. It's about an hour and a half long, but there was a whole lot of creations, a lot of great people, and a lot of fun. Thanks for watching. Have a great day and never lose the joy in building.